Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Inside Lowell Daily Pulse, the Friday, May 30th edition of the Daily Pulse, the show where we keep our finger on the pulse of the city of Lowell and the world around it. And of course, on Fridays, part of that pulse is to kind of recap the chart for the entire week, so to speak. And how can you tell I'm married to a medical professional, right? But we got some great stories we want to recap. We want to have a little bit of fun today as well. Big Fun Friday. And we've got some of your feedback to get to from my fan club out there all over the Inside Lowell universe. And who better to start it all off with than our good friend, our Friday co-host every other week, Leslie Bodor.
Good morning.
In the house, in the WellPoint studios.
I walked over, here I am. I actually had to stall.
Yeah.
It takes 4 minutes.
Yeah, because I'm never here on time. Today I actually got here early because I wanted to do a little show prep. Since we're texting each other at 8:30, going, are you coming in today? Yes.
Well, all you did was say 10 o'clock. I go, why?
Well, I put a question mark there.
Like, has there been a change?
Then what are we going to talk about? And neither one of us, we got nothing, but we got a list
We did.
a mile long and lots of good stuff. And who knows where else we're going to veer off to. But
That's
it's
true.
been a big week here at Inside Lowell, some really interesting podcasts, some big breaking news all over our community. And as always, Lowell is once again the center of the universe. As it always
It
is.
should be.
And Leslie Bodor is once again the center of the media universe. I'm going to tell you what I mean in a quick second, but first, let me thank my Daily Pulse sponsors. Ray Booten, licensed realtor, Massachusetts and New Hampshire, certified appraiser in both of those states as well. So if you're looking to buy or sell a home, a business, or a commercial property, just one call you need to make, folks. Ray Booten. He is your man. You can find him online, realestaterayBooten.com. That's realestaterayBooten.com. Thanks as well to our friends at WellPoint. WellPoint, the only health plan offering healthcare benefits exclusively to Massachusetts GIC members at WellPoint. Your whole health is their whole point. Thanks to WellPoint, thanks to Ray. We're going to thank our other sponsors. You know the drill.
I do.
By now, you could probably do the live reads without even
I don't
looking
even
at the
think you
sheet.
read them anymore.
I just look down to make sure, that I've got the right one in order. But also on TV, they tell you, pretend you're looking at your script,
That's
even
true.
though you got a teleprompter.
That's true.
Because if you stare at somebody for too long, then it gets a little
You're up to
creepy.
something, I think.
So I look down just to,
Just look them in the eye when you lie.
I don't want to
That's important.
creep out the audience. But Leslie Bodor,
Yeah.
look at you.
Well, I
You're
know.
everywhere.
My father.
Daily Pulses, Lowell Sun columns, City Hall, City of Lowell social media posts,
Flag planter.
Lowell Sun photo posts, flag plantings everywhere on the planet. Everywhere I turn, there she is.
Weeping like a baby.
Leslie Bodor at the Heroes Ceremony where they honored your dad.
My dad, my
with the
grandfather.
flag. And look at you standing at attention.
Hungarians were in the house, dude. My God, I see.
Yeah, none of this college campus Palestinian flag waving or whatever. This is
Brother.
Stars and Stripes,
Not that
United
house.
States of America.
Not that day.
Right. Look at you standing at attention too.
Well, it was the anthem. It was during the anthem.
Oh, okay. Is that
And-
the Lowell High Color Guard?
That is the Lowell High Honor.
The Honor Guard.
Very
yes, the
honored.
Honor Guard. Yeah, they're
Honor
awesome,
Guard.
aren't they?
It was a little tight, but that flag, I don't care. Can you get as close to me as you want? I'm so proud of it.
Yeah. How about the gun?
The guns are good. Guns are good. Making sure that they were not loaded.
Last time you had a gun that closely to you, you pulled out yours and shot the person, didn't you?
That's just family stories, Teddy. Family stories.
But that's a really cool photo. Congratulations to you and
thank you.
your dad. That must be such an amazing honor to have your dad have a
It really
banner
was. For them to even consider him, putting him up there. And that's my grandfather, too. He's Hungarian, from the United States, though.
Okay. So
fought in
where
World War
are
One.
those banners? I actually have the photo of your dad looking young and vibrant. in his
Yes,
military garb.
19.
Where is that now? Did
It's
they put
right at JFK Plaza.
that in the
at
little circle
memorial.
around the Russis?
Memorial.
Around the Russis.
Police
Oh, I
memorial.
gotta next time I'm over there. I think I have to go next week for.
Well, I was walking into City Hall, and I looked to my right, and the first person I saw was my father.
Oh, no kidding.
No good. I was no good. I'm up the stairs.
Do you even know who some of the other names were, or you just
No,
stopped at your
there was one
dad's?
gentleman that got his own flag. Woo! So I thought that was interesting. But it's great to show the pride of the city. My dad was born in Lynn, but he came here after the war on the GI Bill. Came to Tech, Lowell Tech. I wear his fraternity key in '52 and married my mother. I'm fourth generation Lowellian, not from my dad's side, my mom.
So your dad came in '52?
Yeah.
From Germany?
He came right after war. He re-upped.
Okay.
World War II, re-upped again, went to Japan.
In the Hungarian army? Or?
No, he's American.
Oh, okay. Oh, so he's, okay, I got you.
All American.
All right.
My grandfather and my father, both American.
Okay.
Yes, and both fought in World War I as a medic, World War II as a B-24 Liberator.
So who was the first groups to come, the initial people to come across the pond? Was it your grandparents?
I'm Scottish from the city.
Scottish from the city?
Yes. Annie McNaughton, born in 1862. She married a Duplessis. Duplessis beget my grandmother, Madeline.
A Greek mythological figure of like two-sidedness?
She's a little
The Greek god of two-sidedness?
That's
duplicitous. Oh, okay. Yes. Sorry, I forgot my mythology.
Having heard stories, that's probably not too far off the mark. She married a Conway. Conway beget my mother, Joni. Joni beget me.
That's right. I forget your Irish name is you're a Conway.
I'm a Conway.
Right.
Not the money Conway.
No relation
and
to
Dave Conway. No, and no Michael Conway.
Michael Conway.
Grew up across the
It's a
street.
great story, though. You might as well tell people.
Well, I'm Police Conway. There's three ways to identify yourself.
All right. The insurance Conway, the politician teaching Conway.
And the cop Conway.
And the cop Conway. Yeah, and you fulfilled your
I did.
Your bloodline.
He never knew, but
you?
yeah.
Now, there was one other interesting thing.
It was a proof of life.
In that photo, because you said to me, see, he is alive.
He exists.
He does exist. And I had to go back and look at the photo before I realized the guy next to you standing, and by the way, very, very properly standing at attention.
Look at his jacket.
Is none other than Rob.
You have the same coat, brother.
That's the state police. Yeah, you gave me that state police jacket too.
It's waterproof. It was cold that day.
They're awesome. Yes, it was.
38 degrees.
Yeah, that's why they moved you guys inside, right? But you have forever talked about this mythical creature, right? We know about Bigfoot. We know about the Loch Ness Monster, but we've never had a sighting of Rob.
No.
At least not without a baseball hat.
That's right.
I had a hard time recognizing both of you without a baseball hat.
Very true. I contemplated one today.
I didn't know that's what Rob looks like without a hat.
Yeah, he's handsome, isn't he?
Plus, he has he's had longer hair. I remember him when the hair would flow out.
Yes, he had a ponytail.
Did he always have that little blondness?
Yeah, he's always been, but he's fair. He's like light brown blonde.
He is a good-looking dude.
Good looking. He's almost 50.
You did all right for yourself, Bodor. I tease you about robbing the cradle.
I know, you'll be 50 September 7th.
So Rob, you're looking good, my friend, and I'm glad now we've been able to prove to the audience and to the world that you do, in fact, exist.
Now it's time to...
You're doing all right. Just one word of warning, Rob. April 1st. Don't do anything wrong. That's a bad day to be the other half of Leslie Moe.
Moving on up to Cape Cod.
Watch out for her on April 1st.
Yes.
Hey, before we get into our local topics further, quick update today. We just looked on our computer. The prosecution has rested in the Karen Reed case.
Yes.
The defense has called its first witness. We don't know who it is. It's some young, good-looking dude.
Yep.
But you can't wait to hoof it out of here.
Yeah, that's kind of true.
And get over to
I left at the very last second and waiting for them to call,
Now, do you record it, DVR it, so you
whole
can
thing.
catch it? Okay. So you'll be mad if I text you with something that takes it out of the order for you?
Yeah, I won't.
You won't look.
No, because I don't want to be tainted. I want to watch it through my own eyes. We're waiting for the defense to hammer in and see what their explanation could possibly be. And we're going to hear the prowess of my guy, Brennan.
You brought up an interesting point before I hit the record button. You said Brennan isn't really a prosecutor. He's a defense guy. So he may be better.
He's better at
with the defense witnesses than he was with his own. Which is a very low bar to set, by the way.
Well, it was bad. Yeah, the evidence,
The prosecution witnesses were not good. And they were missing a lot of important witnesses.
But you got the evidence in that's needed to be contemplated for retrial or appeal.
Yep.
So
I will say this. There are more folks today that tell me they think she did it.
Yeah.
than there were during the first trial. Some people who originally thought this was a frame job, now after seeing some things with Brennan, so he's the best. You know, the state got its $250,000 worth.
Oh my God!
Meatball Morrissey and everybody else over there.
Like this, Teddy.
Norfolk, Norfolk, Virginia.
Oh, yeah. And he left.
Where am I going to?
He closed the case with her own words on one of her 20, 40, 50-minute
Which is
things.
what, I hate you?
No. It was, did I hit him? Did I maybe graze him and hurt his knee? So I hired my attorney, Yannetti, and I asked him, could I have hit him? Did I hit him? So it's not whether she hit him. The first jury agreed she hit him. They couldn't agree on her intent. But because of the computer work now in the car and his cell phone information and the way they all impact and collide in the same way, collide is an interesting word. I didn't mean that, but they all kind of, they all kind of come in together at the same time frame. It's a 10-second, they're arguing over 10 seconds. Let's put it that way. But it's fascinating stuff. She's got a vigorous defense. It's fascinating.
Arguing over 10 seconds sounds like a love life. We're full of the jokes today.
You know, I just go right to Madeline Kahn. I'm tired of playing the game. Blazing Saddles.
Oh yeah. So we'll bring you back in the coming weeks. We'll get you together with Booten. At some point, we'll get the Killer Bees, Bodor and Buckley again to talk about the retrial. Once we've seen, you know, because the prosecution had some new twists. We anticipate the defense will have some new hits as well.
They have more witnesses.
They're not going to play the same hits from their first album. They've got a new album with hopefully some new songs. And
we didn't play the same hits either.
No, the prosecution came out with a second album, and we'll see how it goes. And I do want to say that we have hired an InsideLowell correspondent.
Okay.
To head down to the Superior Courthouse and get the trial. So this morning they were there, and actually they were not able to get an interview with Karen Reed, but they were right in front of her as she entered the courtroom. So they were able to capture this photo of Karen Reed entering the courthouse this morning.
Nay. I say nay, Teddy.
Our intrepid InsideLowell correspondent.
Down for the count.
Okay, Karen, do you have any comment on the trial so far? No, nay. What, Karen, why the long face? And she, probably on the advice of her attorneys, Karen Reed chose not to speak today.
She is looking forward to a vigorous
and address the jury. Yep. And,
you're brutal.
Needless to say, she's feeling her oats today.
I feel bad for her parents. They're aging in that front row.
Of course they are. That's their baby girl, right?
Breaking my heart.
So this has become such a circus that ultimately, one way or another, I'm not sure the family of John O'Keefe or John O'Keefe himself is ever going to get justice. A portion of the population will believe she was framed and the trial was rigged. A portion of the population will believe she's guilty of sin, but she's walking free. Whatever the outcome of this case, can we agree that this is the last rodeo?
Oh yes, absolutely.
If we get a hung jury again, we're not going back for a third bite at the apple, are we? Thank God.
Right.
I don't know if I can say we need to move on to the next drama.
Well, I've learned through this process that intent to actually hurt him is not a requirement. She just has to make actions that would equate to movement or whatever that could. So anyway,
a reasonable person would assume could lead to somebody's harm.
You don't have to prove innocence. You have to be beyond a reasonable doubt. What would a reasonable person think? Well, they didn't land there at the bottom of the road.
No, they were put.
There were two reasons:
they were
either
put there
a
by the
fight
people in the house,
or a hit by a car.
Right. So you've been steadfast in your belief that she's guilty of something, and you've actually. To recap for those who haven't seen your prior appearances, you went from the first trial of thinking she hit him accidentally to you think she may have hit him on purpose.
Yes, because her computer shows a lot of intent. She sits, she idles, she pops that baby into reverse. She gets it up to 24 miles an hour. She skids, she revs, she skids, she hits.
Well, we know she was sitting and idling. They were sitting in the car fighting because somebody from inside the house.
Two people say they never saw someone in the car.
Which is interesting.
And I think they're...
So where were they if they never saw anybody in the car?
That's the question.
She
has since said, since the trial one, after trial one, she said in one of her interviews, I saw him go in the house. Her first statement is, I don't remember going there. So now it's I saw him go in the house. Which one is it? And like they'll say all the time, well, if you're lying here, aren't you lying there?
So look, anything she says about that night can't be remembered. She obviously was impaired to some degree. But
intoxication. She was blowing over at 2:00. They have her around at 2:30.
Among other things. But other people have said we saw them. Right? Remember from the first trial, wasn't McFang one of them who looked out the window and said, we were wondering what they were doing out there?
Yeah, coming in? Are you coming in? Are you here? Are you coming in? And they say he never came in the house.
So they were clearly outside doing something.
The second,
probably fighting.
They were fighting. Because you could hear her 50+ messages after she doesn't know what happened to him, goes home. She goes home, waits till 5 a.m. Now she's frantic. But what I have a problem with has always been the rocks class. And the second thing I have a problem with is 2 feet of snow. When he hits the deck, allegedly, he's on the grass.
But there was only a dusting of snow when he
Not
first
into
hit
6
the deck,
a.m.
right?
Not at 6 a.m.
Right. But
there was a berm.
Either at 12:30 or at 2:30, there's
what
barely any
happens
snow out there.
They can't see him. He's covered completely in snow because he's lying on his back, supine. So they can't see him, but she runs directly to a bump in the snow. You can't see him, though. She knew exactly where he was.
Who couldn't see him? The people who put him there?
Nobody could see him, right? And let me throw this at you. Wait a minute. As a police officer, a local, municipal, and state, I worked a lot of mid-shifts and I worked a lot of details. It is very common for me not to hear anything out front of my house during a snowstorm. I have room darkening shades. I have a wave machine. I have a fan. And I wouldn't see lights. And I certainly didn't hear sirens because they didn't use them. So not one neighbor in that neighborhood came out either. No lights came on, no porches, no peeking, nobody came out that morning. So just to
because they knew
say
enough
that,
not to mess with
that
Alberts
could be
and the
they're
McCabe's.
afraid, but
Or
I
else
think
they'd get dragged out
I think
into a
curiosity
snowbank,
kills
too.
the cat, man. You see people on the highway looky-looing when there's an accident. I don't think people can help themselves.
Right, but if the prosecution theory is to be believed, she hits him at 12:31.
Yes.
Okay. Zooms off, and everyone's wondering where he is, including the people inside the house.
It's his
People
phone
inside
never.
the house assume he went home. They start butt dialing during sex and all sorts of weird things.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. That's testimony from the
That's
first trial.
from Canton PD.
But so now there's a search that starts at 5:30 between
The women.
McAlbert, Reed, and somebody else. Okay. So they go back to the house, and that's when she runs over to the berm,
Immediately.
supposedly. Okay.
And they didn't see him.
They say they didn't see him. Correct.
But she went right to a
But she went
snowbank.
right. But it was probably obvious.
No.
If for her to see it, either she knew they were there, or you could argue she knew he was there, or you could argue they knew he was there and did the old look the other way.
Well,
I don't see it.
No, absolutely not. These were his best friends. These two women were raising his kids with him, his niece and nephew with him. I don't think that that's it at all.
McCabe?
Yeah, she might not be the most eloquent, but she's raising 4 daughters under 20. She's in a girl house. You know what I'm trying to say? You have 1 daughter.
She doesn't come
Ruby
off that
rules.
well.
Ruby rules your house, I'm sure. But what I'm saying is she has 4 daughters she's raising. She's not out in the world testifying at trials. She really isn't. She's not.
But she was in that house
She's doing
that
an important
night,
job.
and if the defense theory is correct, she knows that something happened, and it's not in her interest to find his body. As a matter of fact, it's in her interest to stall the search for the
Then
body.
he needs to be put in the scenario.
Depending on what the response to hustling to die in the cold popped
That
up,
was
right?
after 6 in the morning.
At some point, yeah.
She opened up a tab that earlier in the morning and used the same tab.
So-
it's on an iPhone. It's possible.
So let me ask you this as a former investigator.
CPAC.
If there's a
I've worked in the CPAC unit, folks.
if there's the defense theory, if there's a fight in the house, drag him out, leave him there to die.
Right in the same spot, it would look like
2:30.
someone hit him. I mean, that's a bit of a stretch.
Toss long to die makes sense. You would do that search then.
She's
Like
breathing.
how long do we leave him out here before we call the police, ambulance, or pretend to find him? If he got hit and you legitimately didn't know he was there, even though people were coming and going from that house all night long and nobody saw him,
He's over by the flagpole, though,
what's the point of the hustling to die at 6 in the morning?
because Karen Reed asked her to do it.
Karen Reed asked her, is what she's saying.
Is what the She
McCabe
has
said.
consistently testified too.
Okay, but do we know
No,
if
the other woman is testifying to that as well.
But didn't the other woman testify under cross this time that's what? Oh no, that was the I hit him that she said.
Yes,
she didn't really hear it, but
there are three other.
McCabe
There
told her she heard
are
it.
three people. There's a female paramedic, there's a male paramedic, and there's McCabe that all heard her say it. So they either are all in cahoots or they're not. And I just don't think that they're in cahoots.
Yeah, the argument is they're not smart enough to be in cahoots.
I just think she comes from a world of raising girls. I'm not trying to put that down. You know, a lot of girl dads, don't get me wrong here. Raising children is difficult. So I'm just saying she doesn't come from this world. So she went point counterpoint with a master. And you can't do that. It's just like they're trying to go against a scientist. So, okay, well, you can think A, B, C, and D, but science is A, B, C, and D. It's a hard thing to do. And her emotions got the best of her. It's pains to see. But they mentioned, you're different this time than last time, aren't you, Miss McCabe? And what do you mean, you know? Very polite, very smiley.
She needed to be.
She had to change her.
She came across very
she had to-
harshly at the
she-
first trial.
Absolutely. Yeah. Not very likable, but not a murderer make.
Does it bother you that to prove its case, the prosecution skipped a number of witnesses from that morning and the investigation? Including,
let the defense
we can argue over who the lead investigator is or whether he was the lead, the second, one of a group or whatever. He was called in the first trial. He wasn't this time.
Right. He's fired. He's Mr. Proctor.
Isn't that troubling?
Not to the defense, who can call him.
The defense is going to call him.
Yeah.
And if you're
We're
a juror...
We're going to find out he's a nasty texter.
So if you're a juror and you ostensibly don't know a thing about this case...
Yeah.
You're going to find out that he handled much of the investigation.
Yes, his name's at the top of everything.
Including the elimination of evidence and potential evidence and this and that.
Yep.
Aren't you naturally going to wonder... Why didn't the prosecution call this guy? He's central to their case.
When they hear what he has to say, you'll know.
But then doesn't that lead to the reasonable doubt that gets her off?
No, it leads to nasty, immature bullshit behavior that brought down almost a whole agency because of his antics. Buchanan should have reprimanded him. Buchanan was reprimanded for not reprimanding him. I've been in a CPAC unit, Teddy. It's a tough crowd.
CPAC stands for our civilian audience.
I don't know. Criminals, I forget. I want to sleep for PAC. People, PAC of us.
I thought it was a bunch of Christian Republicans who gather in South Carolina every 4 years to anoint the nominee. No, isn't that the CPAC convention? The Conservative Political Action Committee. CPAC.
I block that out every year, Teddy.
And then a CPAP machine is what helps me breathe when I snore my way through the night. All right. Will Karen Reed have a long face when the jury comes back, or will she be smiling?
It's getting good. It's getting really good.
Defense is calling their witnesses. Today. Follow this trial. We'll keep following it here at Inside Lowell, and we'll make sure our correspondent goes on and gets more up-close photos. You're tuned into the Inside Lowell Daily Pulse on this Friday, May 30th, 2025. Can you believe May is done? Tomorrow's Saturday. Well, we won't be with you tomorrow. The next time we come to you will be Monday, June 2nd. But 5 full months of the Daily Pulse, the show that's got its finger on the pulse of Lowell and the world around it. Thank you for joining us. Thank you to our Daily Pulse sponsors, Ray Booten, licensed realtor in Mass and New Hampshire. Find them online at realestaterayBooten.com. Thanks as well to our friends at WellPoint. Let's see if Bodor knows the taglines. At WellPoint,
your health is our whole point.
Oh, close. Your whole health is our whole point.
I have WellPoint. That's enough. You want my card?
Can you please bring that? That would be a wonderful treat. David Morales watches these, their GM. Washington Savings Bank, banking that feels like home. What's the second part of that?
I don't know.
Make the switch now.
Make the switch now. You
to Washington Savings Bank.
And we have a mug to prove it.
Yes, indeed. It feels like home. I got a coffee mug to prove it. So what if I put vodka in it? TMI Properties.
That was my fault.
Quality and value at every price point. I can't take a show with Bodor sober. For the love of God. Find your perfect space with TMI. Just burping before the show. She's snorting. No, this is awful. Mahoney Oil, providing warmth and protection to Greater Lowell and Southern New Hampshire. for over 100 years, since 1925. That is a century of service to our community. Speaking of community, Greater Lowell Community Foundation, improving the quality of life in our communities through strategic, impactful philanthropy. Francis E. Prevention Insurance, Leslie's favorite sponsor, and the agency Greater Lowell counted on.
They put the P in protection.
They do. The agency Greater Lowell counted on to protect its most valuable assets. What's their web address again? FEPINS.com. That's FEPINS.com. Say it quickly.
I never committed to memory.
And by the Massachusetts Pirates, they brought all the hard-hitting action and excitement of arena football back to the Saga Center last night. Big W for the Pirates. Hopefully this is the beginning of a long win streak that will propel them into the playoffs and another championship. Happy to see them back home. Get your tickets at MassachusettsPirates.com. Thank you to our Daily Pulse sponsor. Leslie Bodor is here. All right, the big breaking news this week. Shocking, but maybe not so shocking when you consider that nothing separates a family more quickly than money, and that money usually after the death of someone, especially a parent. So Artie DeMoulas, Arthur T, once again placed out as head of running the company that he and his father and brother and uncles built to this dynasty. Look, that's a supermarket dynasty.
Lucky us. Lucky us.
94 stores.
Yeah.
I've got the exact number from somebody who would know. They had 95, but I think they closed one in Billerica. So board of directors decided they got to get him out of there to quote unquote investigate whether he was planning some active sabotage of the company. Strikes, worker walkouts, customer boycotts, etc., much like we saw in 2014 when he was battling with Arthur S. DeMoulas.
We were there.
Yes, you were a WCAP morning show correspondent.
I was.
And you were out there at Stadium Plaza for that giant rally. What was the temperature that day? It was nice and cold,
96.
Right? 96 in the shade.
Dude, and
that was August of 2014.
That is correct. It was hot.
You were sweating your balls off.
Yeah, it was tough. But the camel was too. They use a giraffe. It's not a camel. Long balls. It's a camel. They had a stuffed camel. No, giraffe. What's the matter with me? Giraffe, long neck. Okay. That was their mascot.
Yep.
And Austin Fontanella, I felt so bad.
Austin from Boston.
He took his career very seriously.
He did.
And he had to deal with me, who's getting yelled at by the owner that day for not doing something else. But anyway, we had a live broadcast.
I think he docked your pay for your performance.
Yeah, he docked my pay. I think he would have knocked my head off. He could have cut me. I asked her to do something for me. Anyway, I did it for you.
So ironically enough, we find out that just at the end of last year, November or December, they repaid the $1.6 billion loan to buy the Arthur S. family out.
That's correct.
After RDT and his three sisters stepped forward to help him do so.
Yes.
And everyone thought, well, RDT DeMoulas controls the company now. He'll never have to deal with this again. And then we find out that the board of directors has placed him on, you said it, paid administrative leave, pending an investigation. And here we go again. Here we go again. My phone rang off the hook Wednesday night. I'm going to boycott. What can we do? We haven't seen a boycott yet, although it took some time to organize last time too. But to our knowledge, workers have not walked off. I am told that his daughter and son were among the employees let go, and some others that are thought to be loyalists of his.
Okay.
I did find out one other interesting tidbit though.
Okay.
Because I'm like, why are the sisters turning on him when they helped him?
Yes, it's a wonderful family.
And why would they allow how could three board members, not named DeMoulas, have the authority to remove him when he came forward?
That's the problem.
The three board members are the brother-in-laws, the husbands. I found out of the husbands of the sisters who are on the board, not the sisters.
Who want their families protected.
Which this is where it starts to get really interesting, okay? Now, I'm starting to hear the people sympathetic to the RDT side saying they don't want him to turn it over to his kids. And I am told that the daughter was the heir apparent. Madeline DeMoulas,
Excellent name.
who, by the way, would be the first woman to run that family, to run that supermarket chain. Now, this first grocery store opened the great grandparents or whatever. They opened it up, and then the kids eventually turned it into a giant.
Behind a strong
right,
man.
exactly. But you know, back in those days, 1917 or whatever the date was, you know, the women,
Greek.
The women might have been they might have turned the head, but they didn't get all the credit for it. So, but you know, I find it interesting that he had set up for his daughter to become the first woman to take it up, allegedly, and people say, no, we don't like this succession plan.
Yeah.
So what would the succession plan be for a supermarket that went from the two Greek immigrants who opened a little grocery store, passed it down to their kids, who then passed it down to theirs, where the fight and separation started, and now they want to pass it down again? That seems like the succession plan that every business would follow.
Yeah, familial one.
Right.
You would know this specifically.
So you bring up an interesting point, though.
Yeah.
Do the sisters and the brothers-in-law want their kids to take it over?
They want them, I think the scuttlebutt is they want them protected, yes.
So I asked, do they work in the stores? Because you hear the stories all the time of RDT. Every day of the week, he goes into a store. And you don't, it might be one in Maine periodically. It might be one in Rhode Island. But everybody is on alert. Hey, the big boss is coming today. And word spreads through that supermarket, and everybody's jacket is buttoned up perfectly. The ties are on perfectly. But he's in those stores every day.
Yes, he is.
And I'm told his kids are. I know the daughter works in the business. I don't know how much in the supermarket or in the administrative office.
Well, she takes after her father.
But I have dealt with her. So do the sisters' kids, do they work in the stores? Have they put in their sweat equity?
Great question.
Because I know that was one of the battles between RDT and RDS. RDT was like, hey, I was here. You know, your dad worked his tail off, George. But, you know, where were you guys
Where was IDT?
when we were growing?
He was in produce. He was in stocking. He was in the back office, the front office. He do everything. He was a bag boy. He did everything at that store. And what maybe this generation of youngins isn't doing is quite honestly showing up. They grew up very affluent, not compared to RDT and his family, which we're getting there. They were getting there. They look quite comfortable.
So somebody said to me yesterday, all of these people have so much money that they'll never be able to think of spending, let alone spending it all.
But see,
and money makes you do strange things, right? Families, I've seen it happen. And another thing I learned yesterday, the mother passed away.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So Telemachus had passed away a long time ago, and that's kind of when all hell broke loose.
Yes.
But I'm told the mother passed away within the last 5 years.
The glue.
And it's not a surprise that suddenly the sisters and the brother are now added over control of the company with both parents out of the way. This is information I've gotten. I've also heard that he only owns like 28% of the company. And the rest is a majority is owned by the three sisters, hence their control of the board. And then I don't know who owns like 14% or some small number like that.
Who owns the properties?
I believe that's where the money is. Really, it's not. The property isn't necessarily in aisle 6 where you're making 2 cents on a Campbell soup can. It's on the malls, the plazas, etc.
Let's make that point. Who owns those properties?
I would imagine the Market Basket Corporation, or does Artie own them privately?
I don't know.
I would imagine it's the big corporation.
Your imagination can go anywhere with that.
I was under the impression that was what led to the split with the RDS family and how the stock wasn't equally distributed, because you went from the handful of stores to 94 stores, and suddenly somebody's share grew, but others didn't.
Right.
I was told that was one of the legal battles originally, but I would think by this point all of that had been resolved.
You'd think that, yeah.
So
I would think that, but perhaps no.
So the battle for who controls what the succession plan is, one of the battles.
I don't think the stores, like you said, I think the stores can come and go. Who owns that land? I think is where your future money and profit is. Other
theories that have been speculated, they might want to sell. They might be ready to cash out.
I heard that, Mel. Yeah.
I'm also hearing.
I don't believe that. I don't think that.
From people who are sympathizers with RDT DeMoulas, I'm hearing that they told them, hey, cut the crap with these employee bonuses and the
You do very well if you work for RDT.
holiday bonuses and the give back programs to the employees, you know, stock options and all this money that they get. They're like, hey, cut that down. We've got corporate officers. Which, if that is the case, this plays out exactly the same way. If it's a battle over succession, it might be a different ballgame. Who knows how this plays out? But if they're going to try to do what the other family was trying to do, to clear the decks financially by not handing out the bonuses, not being so generous to the employees, so we can become more attractive to a buyer, RDT is going to win this again and win it very quickly. Yeah, because now the playbook is already written. That play worked once before. There's no reason it's not going to work again.
Right, and those employees are loyal to one person.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
One person. I'll never forget, because I was there at the scene. I'll never forget going in and not a soul being there. And I kept saying, I'm not buying. I'm not a scab. I'm not, I'm just reporting. But I remember that, the passion. They would go to Hannaford, buy all their stuff, get a receipt this long, and tape it to the DeMoulas front windows. It was unbelievable, the support.
As of yesterday, we haven't seen that. And, and the board in their memo to the employees is petrified of that.
Well, a gentleman interviewed this morning, I don't know what show, I flipped channels. He said, well, it's not being fairly done for the stockholders' interests. So they're the money grubbing, 1% coming in, wanting their
even if that's the case,
equity.
It is a bleeping stupid thing to say, because that is exactly how you lost the public.
That's how you lost
the first time.
And that's what he said.
Because if RDT falls back on, hey, I'm giving to the employee. I'm the largest private employer in the area.
And he gives back to the city.
Give back to my employees. I don't hire robots to scan your groceries. Go into any other grocery store, Hannaford, Stop and Shop, whoever.
10 and 12.
And there are more machines that you yourself do the work. For them to save money than there are cash registers.
Then they ask you for a tip at the end.
He refuses to do that. He keeps employing, and look at the people he's employing, right? The kids, for many, it's their first job.
They're begging.
My wife's family, that's her cousin's
know many.
first gig was Market Basket out in, I think,
you
Westford.
Get to know everyone from there.
Look who's working the cash registers. Usually some elderly folks who need to augment their income.
Or it.
Right?
They just don't want to sit at home.
But it's like he's providing jobs and taking care of those people well.
And giving back to the city.
If I'm the other side, my PR advice is make this about a succession plan.
Excuse me.
Because then you might get, all right, well, what's fair is fair.
Don't bring stockholders.
You make this about what's right, what's best for the stockholders instead of what's best for the community. I know Lowell people. Lowell already turned on you once, they're itching to do it again. I promise you, my phone blew off the hook on Wednesday night. They will do it again. I'm shocked it hasn't happened yet.
So what does the Greek mafia say about all this?
I have not seen anybody. That's the problem. I've been so busy this week. By this week,
what's going on?
I'll get a little more. And by the way, if anybody from either of the DeMoulas families would like to come on and give your side of this battle here.
Absolutely. You're wonderful people.
Please come and we'll do it. We'll be fair with you. We'll give you a chance to tell your story. We'll ask you the tough questions. That goes for RDT. That goes for the sisters or the brother-in-laws who made their money the old-fashioned way. They married it. Just like Robert Kraft. We'll be happy to give you the time, but I'm going to give you some free PR advice. Don't make it about the shareholders, or you will meet the same fate
caught my ear today.
As RDS.
My head swung.
And that's not good.
No.
That's all right. I hope they work it out. So many people have reached out to me and said Lowell cannot afford to take a hit of jobs and labor.
Plus he gives back. Lowell Hellenic community.
100%. Well, and I know that some of the other family used to do a lot.
But if you move away,
but not like RDT. And you're right. He
drives down this mile driveway and he's at Stadium Plaza, dude. He's on site. Yep.
So do you think this turns out differently than 2014 did?
Yeah, I don't see I don't see them asking us to go to that extreme again.
You don't?
I don't think so.
Do you think because it won't be necessary?
Yes.
Or do you think there's something there?
We don't know enough about the family rift. I don't know, and I don't want to. I don't want to.
Yeah.
They're such nice people.
Cousin versus cousin is different than brother versus sister, right? There's a tighter bond between brother and sister.
How about a twin?
But when that bond breaks, man, does it get uglier.
It snaps.
Right? It can get really ugly.
Yeah.
So,
and it's about money. I had a twin turn on me for money.
So,
and that's as close as you can get as a twin. So it does happen. And marriage is about love.
Every single
Divorce is about money.
Revenge.
Let's not forget this. Turns into this.
Something else interesting I was told yesterday. Teddy, see if you can get the meetings from their last board meeting.
Interesting.
Are they publicly traded?
held? Oh, I don't know.
Are they publicly held
No, I
or
think they're
privately
private.
held? But they have to make certain filings,
I think the part
right?
of the argument is Artie's not showing them everything.
He doesn't want to go public, right?
He doesn't want to show the family everything.
Okay. That's what, but somebody said to me, if get those board meeting minutes, you might
What's
be
behind me?
interested. Oh, wait. Do we have a special guest?
Oh no, Bobby, you.
Oh my God. I don't like when I hear creaking behind me.
You're lucky she didn't pull out her gun on you.
I know I can hear someone.
It's just my shoes.
Melanie Gilbert from the Lowell Sun. Yeah, pull in a chair. We're talking about Artie DeMoulas.
10:55.
All right. Melanie Gilbert from the Lowell Sun. You two haven't done a show together since your WCAP
Yeah,
days.
that's correct. When she was kind enough to let me squeeze in on her time.
Karaoke.
grab your microphone from the floor there.
Oh,
Perfect.
Well, I found a parking space, which was the good part, and then I put in my quarters, which was the good part. But I didn't get any money. I mean, I didn't get any time.
Well,
So
You didn't get time?
I only have 1 quarter in there for 25 cents for
Oh.
like 10, 15 minutes.
do you remember the zone?
I think you only get 12 minutes.
Okay, so make it pass.
Name. Thank you for covering me so much in the paper, by the way. I love you for that.
No, that was a great story.
My
Your
father
dad is
would-
such a cat.
Oh,
you know, it's just the best way. You know,
Well,
that rakish hat,
I-
and that rakish
He
grin.
never saw a
He's a good-looking
reflection.
dude, right?
He never
The hat was one way and the grin was the other.
He had an eyebrow going. He had a little eyebrow.
eyebrow.
Never saw a reflection he didn't like. That's what I always say.
Yeah.
That was the first line in his memorial when he
No,
passed.
it really represented him. You know,
And my
that's what I
grandfather
think
too,
that
yeah.
day it's all about.
Yeah, and it was, and you were so kind to me. It's nervous. I tried to get out,
Are you
and
kidding?
I got
You're
pulled into the
natural.
photo.
Yeah, I stalked her.
It was so sweet. I appreciate it. My family was very,
Very
very.
photogenic. You and your dad are very photogenic. So
Yeah.
For good art.
No, I appreciate it. I do.
So I worked up a sweat, man, running around.
Did you climb the four flights of stairs or take the elevator?
But
No wonder you're skinny.
Yeah.
Appreciate the awesome.
I use a broom.
You know, I saw lights and police action outside of your building. I thought, oh no,
Oh.
what's going on? But they were just doing.
My door's open.
Any firefighter who wants to break
Hello?
in and stay behind.
Oh, my alarm went off again.
So you are talking about Market Basket?
But yeah, any new
Yeah.
developments for anything new in the Lowell Sun?
Okay, well, Peter did customer reaction this morning.
Peter, went into into one of the stores.
Right.
I heard they didn't greet him with big smiles when he walked in there.
So the scoop, I did City Light this morning, and the scoop is that they want to raise prices. I mean, this is all, you know, it's not reportable.
Right.
It's
Sure.
not reportable.
Right.
We're just gossiping.
Yeah,
We're
sure.
Spitballing. What I like to say is spitballing, but makes it sound sort of a
We understand the spitball.
spitballing.
You're lucky you don't get in between this.
So they say it's the people who live on the or serve on the board that are ousting him want to raise prices.
Oh,
So
Okay.
somebody chimed in on the show and said, that's can't afford. And that's across the street, which is Roger Street.
Can't afford.
can't afford it.
I know, it's terrible, but
Right.
Is it true? That's true. Can't afford.
well, it's like Whole Foods, whole paycheck.
Oh, okay.
So are we getting this from the RDT side or
Oh,
from?
sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
because we're hearing that they want them to cut back on the the giveaways to the employees and the bonuses and the
Right.
kindness. to increase the bottom line.
Right.
Obviously, that's coming from people sympathetic to RDT. Other than the memo to the board, we haven't heard anything yet from the other side.
It's a war of worlds.
words.
Whoever gets out there.
Well, that's you know, I gave
speaks Greek.
I gave some free advice to the other side, like, don't make this about stock options. If you want a chance, make it about succession plans and what's fair for your kids. You stepped up to help them in 2014.
Yeah.
And now you want to make sure your kids are protected. That's a better fight. You make it about stock options. This community is already turned on them, right?
Well, I heard it.
Well, that's.
Yeah.
I mean, we were talking about Leslie. We sent Leslie out in 2014 at that
We
big
did.
Stadium Plaza rally to report on the morning show.
Live broadcast.
that's right.
We did a live, went in.
Radio.
I was a scab. I didn't buy anything, but I was.
She walked around the store. They
Live.
chased her out.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I did get my lobster rolls yesterday, and they were delicious from Hannaford. So,
Yay.
yeah.
Now get your receipt and put it on DeMoulas' window because that's what they did.
I don't know that Market Basket sells lobster rolls, do they?
Oh, sure they do.
Oh, do they? Okay, I'll
Just ask.
Hannaford sent me. Their PR is really good, and they sent me that $9.99 for lobster rolls.
Oh, well, that's
every
good.
Labor Day.
I can't get over the can't afford. That's
I read it straight. Because, Teddy,
that's great.
I don't know.
You know, it's funny. This is a good offset, but Karen Reed's trial, the guy that's doing all this, his name's Woke. Mr. Woke.
Oh, my
Mr.
God.
Woke. And I
Oh,
keep
don't tell
thinking,
me this.
is he calling someone woke?
Don't tell-
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Can we get him on the show?
That's why his name is Woke. I know. So I'm thinking, oh, if Teddy ever hears his name is Woke, he just say it 20 times a day.
That's a lobster roll.
Yeah, here we go.
It was really good. And
Yeah.
actually, the pieces were big. They were small claws. So,
Okay.
but
Not
it
as
was
much
big
flavor,
pieces.
but
It
those
was-
are good. All
Yeah,
right.
I mean, I'm not a connoisseur of
You,
lobster rolls.
you know what they say about lobsters with small claws.
Big
I
feet.
don't know that I'm not
So what have you written the column yet? Is that what you're heading over to do
I'm
now?
driving around picking up stories as I go, and I just got one curbside with the darn kiosk. So I took a picture of the got like $4 and quarters in there because I thought, well, maybe I just throw it in there a little harder. It'll fall.
You need the string.
It'll just get more embedded in there and block it for the next
Shake it.
person.
Just give it a.
So my first four just fell right through. So I thought, well, maybe they're old. Some of these machines are picky. Boston had picky meters.
Yeah, they're
You
2
couldn't
years
use-
old.
Right, you couldn't use quarters.
Listen, I had to swap out a washing machine after 5 years yesterday, and I was my wife
Get
and
a
her
load of
mother.
that.
They went, they went shopping, and they were told, like, yeah, that's about 5 years is about the life of these
Right.
things before the drum breaks. My mother and father had the same washing
Yeah.
machine for 100 years,
Yeah.
for Christ's
Have a
sakes.
Maytag, Teddy.
Probably, yeah.
Oh.
I think they did back in the day, yeah.
Didn't that guy sleep in the
Yeah.
closet?
And if you occasionally you'd have to
He's under
call
the
Drake
sink.
at Appliance and get the repair guy
You open
in,
the sink, he's under
but it
the
lasted forever. I mean, literally, it would rust, and you'd have to get rid of it for that. But
That's a fact.
Imagine this high-tech machine that it makes all these fancy sounds. My
computer.
kids love the sounds. And they go,
computers.
in 5 years, the drum breaks. Oh, I wish I freaking knew that when I bought it.
Yeah. Nothing I own, even my every piece of equipment doesn't have any computer in it, except my computer.
Well, you know my story. I've been telling it all over town. I bought my 21-year-old college-age son a used car. And I said,
Yay.
you get through your first 2 years of school, because it was touch and go. I'll buy the car. So I found a beater at the local store.
Right on, a beater.
So it is a beater, 245,000 miles.
Oh,
But get a load of that car is a dream.
what kind of car?
Toyota Corolla.
They never
It's all
do.
Toyotas
I
forever.
love it.
It's like a lawnmower engine. They never
Get this.
stop.
Oh, get this. And it hugs the road.
Mm-hmm.
And my Escape. When I took this
That's air pressure. You need more air pressure.
Like I lean the other way, but on this car, it really. Some little race cars, like a little Ferrari.
Your car hugs the road, you hug the trees. It's an affectionate family.
It's a woke family. So this car has a CD and tape cassette player.
Still?
Uh-huh.
Oh, if it had an 8-track, it would be gold.
know that
I still have 8-tracks at the house.
The guy said, it's this much.
My parents' house, I should say.
And it works. And so I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I didn't even drive it or anything. I just said, okay. And then I
They-
get home. and
but
it's
they don't make
good.
cars like that
No,
anymore.
it
They
has a
make them
console.
to die within 5 to 10 years. I put over 200,000 miles on a Nissan Pathfinder, and I had the only reason I got rid of it, the body started.
I remember that.
The guy said to me, you're gonna fall right out.
That's what happened
if
with
you're
my
not
car.
careful."
Interesting.
So I had to catch it in for a Honda, which I've now had for 11 years.
This one has the console in the back seat.
Nice.
Oh.
For your guests. I took the back seat out of
You
mine.
can crawl into the trunk if you want to. But it's like it's that kind of car.
I like it.
The trunk is huge. It's Goodfellas.
No.
huge.
Wait a minute. So it's the size of a casket?
It's a nice car. But anyway, talk about a throwback. My first car was a Dodge Mitsubishi.
By the way, I just realized I didn't have her microphone on. I may bring the microphone up. It'll pick you up faintly in the background.
Big mouth.
Like, get your own microphone. I'll just forget to turn it on.
So that's what you get when you bust in on your,
You come
on
busting
your
in.
time.
Well, footsteps behind me is always a, whoa, Daddy.
You heard me pounding. I was trying to creep up. I'm not really very subtle. So this morning, I went out to Billerica, the Baker Commodities plant.
Oh, yeah. With
It didn't smell, but I've already been
the
placing.
bane of South Lowell's existence,
Yes,
right?
yes. It's an active little place. So, I always try to trespass legitimately.
Sure.
Baker Commodities empties our fryer-later oil at the Athenian Corner.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, we dump it into one of their bins. They hook up a hose to it and clean it
Oh,
out
that's
every
interesting.
And so
weeks
to
or
Plum Island
whatever.
from there.
Well, residents over there.
Do they burn it? What makes it smell? Because it doesn't smell in the containers they have it outside of the restaurants.
What does it smell like?
I don't know. I think it's the rendering. They take animal fat as well. Like, I think it's part of the rendering that they bring in. So I don't know. I have an email into the company. I asked for a tour. I try to do the things the official way. Oh, and thank you for your text. I'm not
Which text?
my differential. I'm
Well, I spelled something wrong.
equation. No, but I am sort of deferential because even though I have a somewhat fixed view, I have my opinions, but I do enjoy hearing other people's. So it's not really. It's deference because I don't want to be a Jake Tapper.
No.
I don't want to be in the bubble.
No, you need to be a Scott Jennings. I texted because I felt like yesterday we did over an hour with Melanie
it went by
yesterday.
really
I
fast.
watched the whole thing.
And but I felt
certainly
it
did.
was the best show we did because she pushed back on me. Usually I feel like
He pushed my
she
buttons,
gives
let's
in.
be honest.
I do. I'm a button pusher. I'm a pro button pusher.
You
Just ask
did
my wife.
nothing, though. You did nothing but hit him with your
But
smash.
she pushed back yesterday, and that's what makes, I think, for good talk radio, good
Yeah, well, we
panel
had a lot
discussions,
of
good
crazy
TV,
discussions.
pens that run away.
What's this excuse?
Friday is just.
You define this.
Remember Friday mornings on the radio, and Thursday was
6
date night, so
a.m.
Friday morning was mail it in. just open up the phone
Didn't
line.
rely on my gift the gab. One day he didn't show. He had no voice. First day.
Yeah,
My first Friday.
my week-long laryngitis.
Yeah. Which could be fatal
Laryngitis?
on him.
Oh. Well, and you're looking very fly again today.
Thank you very much.
Nice.
I
Was that
told
just
my
yesterday?
wife. My wife said, "What shirt are you wearing?"
He's looking very nine-eyed in that vest.
Yeah, he's looking
But yeah, this is my. I pretend that I can hang out.
Do you
in
play
this for-
golf?
Not as much as I used to.
But you
not
like
very
it?
well. But it's
Do you
Charities.
play golf?
Charities, no. I
Yeah, I've
play
never
tennis.
figured
I
out
wish I was given.
I play.
I wish I was
love
given
it.
a golf club instead.
Oh,
to be honest.
really?
Deals a man in the golf course.
Okay, well, you
Sweat
can go more
equity
places
out of
because you can
tennis.
chit chat on a golf course.
That's true.
And that's what I think. I'm in the wrong business. I should really have been a cruise ship director
Sure.
or something. Or
still time. Though.
yeah. There is time.
Well, then Julie from Love Boat ended up being a cocaine addict, so you don't want that.
Well, I just like sort of, that's why, deferential. I just like hearing what people think. I just ran into this guy over by the Markley plant because they're adding all these chillers.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, it's a,
How are the neighbors doing out there?
well, he used very profane words. I said, I'm taping.
Oh, you talked to one of the neighbors.
Yeah,
not
one of the
Markley
neighbors.
people,
There's this
huh?
huge pile of dirt, and it's all going to blow. If there's and there's more than dirt. There's like
Wind's coming
garbage in
tomorrow.
there.
Yeah.
It's sort of in my opinion, feels sort of loosey goosey over there. But I'll give the company a chance to
Sure.
respond to that accusation. But they have.
You've done all this morning?
I'm telling you, man.
And you popped in?
Yes.
Gee,
yes,
that's a full day. Take the rest of the day off. Bruce, I'm
thank
giving
you.
Melanie permission to take the rest of the day off. Bruce already loves me.
busy girl. So it helps to get started early. My boys get up at 6 because they work for DPW in Arlington. So they do the cemetery, the weed
yeah,
whacking. So they have
nice.
to be out the door by 6:15.
Your boys are DPW workers?
Yep, in Arlington.
They just
you
had
got to
a
connect them to
DPW
Eric
time.
Gitchier and Corey Robinson.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they hire outsiders?
In Lowell?
Yeah. I don't know.
What's the word? 10%?
Tell them not to put your name as
Yeah,
a...
well, right. Yeah, well, yeah.
Well, they always looking for qualified people.
Yeah.
Here's
They
your
do.
reference video.
They do a summer program. My youngest, my middle son has been in there for almost 4 years. He's making bank.
Awesome.
Yeah, he just got paid today, so I might not see him tonight. I don't. He'll be south of the border.
So
I got paid today too. It's a miracle I'm here.
She only comes in for the paycheck on Fridays, every other Friday. That's why she's on every 2 weeks.
Well,
It's a bi-weekly paycheck.
You know, it's not lights I'm grabbing.
Come have a kebab and a drink at the Athenian. We'll call it a wash.
At least you get paid.
No, he's busting your balls. I'm not getting paid.
Well,
I get a free martini.
this is my challenge. I take it straight.
Come down and have a meal
You have
and a
to come down
martini
with
at the
me.
Athenian.
I have a seat.
Yeah, Leslie has a seat.
The little
Bodor's corner.
All right, little Leslie.
Little velvet rope. I'll let it down.
Bodor's corner, yeah.
All right, I'm down for that live.
A lot of secrets over there.
Oop, it's all. My time is almost up.
Terry Ryan and Tom Golden, thank you for the $25 tax contribution to the
Seriously.
parking fund.
All in quarters.
No, that's I thought it's a $26 contribution. 4 quarters and your $25
I gotta
parking
tell you,
ticket.
I knew. You know when you think, oh, great,
This is too good to be true.
Too good to be true, and it was. So
Can I do, since Melanie's here?
Absolutely.
I have to ask this question. I saw Facebook. I get up early in the morning because I'm old and I have to pee, you know, old man problems. Now I can't sleep, so I start scrolling through Facebook. And here's a guy bitching. He goes, since when did they start ticketing at 7:30 at night?
I got caught with that.
And somebody, and I've been caught with it only because I forgot to feed the meter. But
Is it 8 to 8?
Yeah.
So, they got to do a better job of letting people know
It's
about
right
this.
on the machine.
How many times did you guys write about that controversy? Did we write about it?
Well,
did the
even though-
council fight over it?
Even though I wrote about it, I got nabbed in front of Lala Books because I just pulled in and I thought, oh, it's after 6, you know, and then I literally ran in. and-
Instinctively, right? You made the mistake. But for
won't
the
make that
people who
mistake
say, when did they do this?
Yeah.
You know, there comes a point where you've got to be a responsible. If you can't keep yourself informed enough about the
I
community,
agree.
then shut up. And honestly, I don't want you voting either. If you don't know enough about something that dominated headlines for a month and a half, if
Right.
not, and by the way,
'cause it was
will
a big
come up
deal.
again when they have to raise the parking rate again.
Right.
Just get out of here.
I'll just label the article. This is for all you losers
Yeah.
who didn't see this the first time.
Yeah, there's a podcaster and he's like, pay attention, we're not joking. They're raising parking rates
All
and
you
extending the meter hours.
deplorables.
My deplorables are well, if my audience knows about the parking
Well, there
film.
you
You get the basket.
It's these
You gotta put 'em in
snowflakes
a
over at
basket.
Low Live Feed Forum. They're the ones who...
Oh, wait.
We put our deplorables in a Nantucket basket here.
All right, well, speaking of...
Basket cases?
I'm gonna scoot, lady. It's always good to see you.
Market basket cases.
I was really racing over here because I got caught up taking these photos, and my watch, I didn't reset it when the time
Is
changed.
it 10 seconds off?
It was an hour off.
No.
So I thought I had plenty of
It's like
time.
the Karen Reed prosecution. It's an hour
I
off.
slid that in a little.
And then I was like, oh my God, I got to get over there. So here I am. All right, well,
Well,
Th-
I'm gonna see now.
Melanie Gilbert from the Lowell Sun. Great to see you again. We'll get you back in a couple of weeks.
all right,
okay?
sounds good.
All right. Thank you to Melanie Gilbert.
I'll leave this here, actually.
Yeah, well, it's all right. We'll pretend Leslie chased somebody out. Now that I turned it on. I can't wait to hear.
Happy weekend.
Bye.
You too, Mel.
Look at that. She even takes her own furniture out here. Should bring her back more often.
I think it's going to the elevator.
We did over an hour yesterday with Melanie.
I know, I
And
watched all that.
she's addicted. The Well Point Studios are the place all the cool people hang out at.
She had some great thoughts. She still does.
She still does. And either her or I get into the bottom of this market basket.
I like
thing.
bottle better.
The bottle. Yeah, we'll get to the bottle too as well.
A lot of best friends float at the bottom of a glass, Teddy.
So one more big headline this week in the
Chili?
city. It's actually been the headline for the
Chili,
for the
Teddy.
last couple of weeks. Yeah, I mean, I knew that roofing could be hazardous in icy
Don't be from
conditions.
Chili.
But what's going on in Lowell lately is bizarre. Let's get rid of Karen Reed and let us bring on the photos that we put on during our podcast with Melanie yesterday.
correct.
What appears to be in Lowell's Coburn Street, the Centerville neighborhood. We're told it's 7 a.m. What looks like an ICE operation with one individual being arrested. But the better picture is this one.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm hiding my ladders.
I'm
to be
getting
quite
I'm
honest,
getting in an Uber.
if I'm a roofer right now. But there's what appears on.
They say you can climb the ladder to success here, Teddy, but not these days.
So
Not as of months ago.
no wonder you can't get affordable housing in Lowell, because apparently ICE has been living here. Well, they've got 100 agents taking up apartments in the city.
Who invited them? Who invited you to the party?
I don't believe anybody did. Certainly not Governor Morahiri.
Yeah.
I don't believe anybody in the city of Lowell administration.
I don't think they're being a very good neighbor. They're not being a good neighbor.
They're coming in and they are arresting people and roofers to boot. So this is bothering you.
Well, it's bothering me because they're not doing roofies. I thought we were going after immigration, fentanyl, drug problems, which is Canada and Mexican borders.
Which we are. They corralled a rapist on Nantucket.
Whether they're being paid under the table or what, or whatever the heck is happening, these guys are at least busting a nut to try to work. And I feel that it's not necessary to pull these guys over that came here really to work and are working. So I have a problem with it. I also have a problem with feds stepping on state toes. I don't like that.
Well, if the state's not doing their job.
Well, the state's I'm not a federal agent, Teddy.
Clearly, the city of Lowell isn't cooperating.
No, and they're not federal agents either.
So why are you upset that
I don't have federal powers?
Yeah, but so then why are you upset about them stepping on the state's toes if the state's not doing the job?
Well, who invited you in?
They don't need an invitation.
Well, then why mix the dust? Why go after these guys? Why?
So
what are you proving to me by taking a guy out of a work truck?
If they've gotten all the rapists and wife batterers and terrorists out of here, then do we turn our attention to workforce? Workplace enforcement.
No, and they're going to schools and taking kids, for Christ's sake.
They have not gone into a school and taken a kid.
Yes.
They may have taken school-age kids, but they're not going to school.
But why?
Well, if they're Hamas terrorist sympathizers,
that's different.
I mean, they should have taken how about the one at the Harvard graduation yesterday with her Palestinian flag up there, lecturing the class of 2025. Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, that's not cool.
I mean, it's as if Harvard's not in enough hot water.
Yeah,
the graduation speaker is doing it more. But so
he was awesome.
And again, I'm a little bit conflicted on this, on the arresting of the roofers. If they prove to me that they have other departments of the federal government, the IRS and whoever, going after the roofing companies themselves, the owners, the general managers, the stockholders, if the roofing company is big enough, if they are now going to face charges and are facing charges, then I'll say, okay, you get one, you get them all, because ultimately you're about protecting the American worker. But to this point, we don't know if they've had any crackdowns on the folks who are hiring these people, probably paying them under the table, probably not paying them the wages they should be paying them, right?
I know so many people that do under the table jobs. It's not a minority problem.
So through the years, I've talked to multiple roofers, though.
Okay.
Who one of the reasons they were big Donald Trump fans beginning in 2015 was because they feel because they feel that their business is getting undercut by these sleazeballs who are using illegal immigrant labor, paying them under the table and undercutting them and getting all the jobs that they're doing things the right way, paying the people minimum wage, paying them overtime, having insurance certificate, everything that you need, and in many cases offering benefits, to the point where I'll never forget, it was probably about 4:30 in the morning, the day after the 2016 election. I didn't sleep. All right. But I get a text from somebody whose father I know is a roofer, and we had chatted, and he said to me, "My dad is crying tears of joy right now, you evil genius." He said, that was the exact text to me. But that came from legitimate business people. So again, it's tricky. I'm not sure this is where we need to focus right now. Let's get all the criminals out. Let's now try to fix. I think the point has been made. Let's try to fix immigration policy. But that said, why does the American worker always seem to get shit on? Why is nobody standing up for the American worker? Yeah, so why? These people are undercutting. These roofers are undercutting American workers and American industry.
We don't know they're not being paid. A lot of undocumented immigrants have a license and pay taxes. Believe it or not.
If they're on a dole, if they have a fake Social Security card and can file for payroll, you cannot put somebody on your payroll without proof that they can work in the country legally. Well, every time I hire an employee at the Athenian Corner, I am told you will get a photo ID and a copy of a social security card.
Okay. Okay.
So that's a must. Now, I have found out that I've been given fake social security cards.
Okay.
I have found out after hiring somebody that her card was fake and had to get rid of her.
Let me
But
guess.
I try to play by the rules. No, she falls into the I suspect. She had a phone.
But
am I going to prove it? Let the ICE agents come in and prove it. Let the Department of Revenue come in.
I don't want the feds coming in and
So
no.
But
no.
Shouldn't we protect the American workers? And shouldn't we demand, if we're demanding that if Market Basket is doing everything above the board, right? If everybody else is doing everything above the board, why shouldn't these roofers? Why shouldn't these landscapers? Why shouldn't these big farms that are hiring them in the Midwest? Because after all, who's going to pick the crops? Do you remember that argument?
Oh, I remember they were trying to use prisoners. They tried to use workforce prisoners.
Yeah,
and they wouldn't do the
our
work.
roads have not been as clean since the chain gangs went away.
They just didn't put the effort in. Go figure. They didn't want to be picking cantaloupes, dude.
But when they did that thing down in Nantucket.
Wait a minute. Speaking of Martha's Vineyard in Nantucket, they just took a boatload.
Off Martha's Vineyard.
They're all wearing their vests. They're on a skiff. I couldn't believe my eyes.
At least they put them in vests.
Why are they on Nantucket?
Because that's
Is that a fentanyl?
because that's a
haven?
They did get a rapist off of there.
Okay.
We're told an alleged rapist.
Yeah.
Everything is alleged.
I'm sure they're not all minority rapists out there.
No, they're not. But if they are, if you know that they're an illegal immigrant rapist, so this isn't about minority. This is about
But then you
legal
got to
versus
call the feds
illegal
in. Why can't we
immigration.
handle that in house?
Because they're not. They're literally letting people out of courtvrooms, though, Leslie. That's the problem.
We don't carry papers, Teddy.
To not have them apprehended, they're letting people out of courtrooms. There are dead people across the country today killed by people who were released by court.
That's true.
It's 100%
Yeah,
true.
but it happens every day.
Exactly. And it needs to stop.
You know how many cops have been shot this year already?
It needs to stop.
Yeah.
It's bad enough when you've got homegrown criminals, homegrown terrorists, or whatever.
Which is the majority.
Correct. But there's no need to import it and make the
Especially people that don't have the expendable income.
And you can do something about it when it's not homegrown. When it's homegrown, you got to get the evidence, apprehend them, arrest them.
What's the vision for this city? What's the vision for this city? What does the governor and the former governor think? And what is the vision of this city that they have?
They want to keep Lowell a poverty haven so that they can keep them out of their ritzy communities.
Did they dump homeless people up here?
The governor, did the governor do it? No. Are other communities doing it? 100%.
Other communities. I'm not name blaming anybody, but we getting dumped on.
So when you say, did they dump homeless people in this? So the migrants that were invited into the country and sleeping at Logan Airport and got sent into Lowell, they're considered homeless. Well, they're in emergency / homeless shelters.
The argument is there a roof over their head? Are they technically living in the street?
We're told 1 in 10 Lowell public school students is homeless. I call bullshit on that, folks. You sleep
1 in 10?
Yeah, that's high. Because anybody who's living with a grandmother,
you consider a motel room
an uncle or an aunt.
See, you got yes.
I consider if you have a roof over your head, you are temporarily housed.
That's correct.
Now we want to argue about hotels because they're just temporary.
Yes, but
but when you start counting the kid who's being raised by the grandparents for whatever familial reason, you count that kid as homeless. Come on, you're padding the stats here. So you can keep the money train flowing.
Yeah, but my point is, what is your vision? You're giving us money. Lori Trahan's working her ass off. We get money coming into the city, and yet we're the homeless shelter for everybody north of Boston. What is your vision for us? We try to move that transitional living center, which needs to go. It can't be down there anymore. You ever drive by there? It's just a drug haven out front. These aren't people that want to be housed. These aren't people from the city either. I mean, it's very difficult. What is your vision for our city? Quit dumping on us. If you want us to have these plans with the university and you want us to, what is that? That's Link?
Link, yeah.
So we're getting all of this. We're building. There's infrastructure coming.
Yep. And what they told me when I reached out to say, hey, I'm hearing that you're going to turn the ICC into a different kind of shelter and that you are extending the lease for another year.
That's correct.
To the end of 2026.
Correct.
By the way, we're still the only people reporting it. But I was told that that
What's the
time
vision
frame
of the
is not
city?
wrong.
What's your vision?
And then I was also told, well, here's what we're doing. We're working with the manager on a long-range housing solution there in the 2 courthouses, and we've invested millions of dollars in other housing projects. They're basically telling Lowell, shut up and take it.
Yeah.
Because we've given you all this money. And yes, they gave us money for Link too. So you will shut up and take it,
Yep.
whether you're Tom Golden, Marty Meehan, or whoever. You want money for Link? You want to be bailed out of your debt for the
Yep.
ICC? You will dance to the song that we play. That's the message Lowell is
But
getting.
what else does this city give you? This city gives you the songus to center. It gives you everything that goes there. The auditorium, the repertory theater.
Yeah, but the hockey players don't want it.
Yeah.
Those girl hockey players, they'd rather be an
Woo!
Afghanistan. They want to stay with the Greeks.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they do. That's true. But you know what I'm saying? What is your vision? I just be clear on it because I'm sick of getting dumped on. You ever been to Lowell?
So-
No, but I heard.
so-
What'd you hear?
This has been my battle.
It's a walkable city too.
The second half of my radio existence and my InsideLowell existence, I want to push back against this idea of a gateway city.
Thank you.
Now, call it a
I didn't mean
gateway.
to yell. I'm
Should it be a
sorry.
gateway city that opens the gate
For unhoused?
people from poverty to accumulate wealth through work, education, whatever? 100%.
Do that in a suburb.
If gateway city means we're going to dump society's problems
Yeah,
on you
if you
and you're
can't
going to like
afford
it.
to live in Lowell?
So, well, here's the problem for
Why do
Lowell,
I
though.
have to make room for you?
Lowell cannot get itself in a position to tell the state no, thank you. We're so dependent on those state dollars, whether it's the $261 million for our schools or the money for the Rourke Bridge or the money for everything else. Lowell is so dependent on federal dollars.
Okay.
It doesn't have enough wealth to do this on its own.
But don't we have a
So-
political crank here?
We used to.
I think we still do.
Well, look at our delegation today compared to Panagiotakis, Golden, Murphy,
Well, that's
and
very
Manuel,
true.
right?
Well,
Ed Kennedy's the dean of our delegation.
he's doing quite well, isn't he?
He's been there since
He's doing great.
2020, right? Or 2018.
Senator Kennedy.
Yeah. Okay, that's 7 years of seniority. He's not anywhere up the leadership ranks.
But he-
Steve Panagiotakis was on the leadership line.
People
Tom
still-
Golden
His phone still rings,
had
Kenny.
gotten up. But how much clout does he have?
I think he's.
How much clout does he have? Do you think Senator Ed Kennedy wanted the in-conference center to turn into a migrant shelter?
No.
He didn't have a choice.
No.
He didn't have a choice.
No.
Do you think the
That's
folks
what I'm
that-
saying.
do you think
Stop.
the-
Give us a choice. Stop dumping on it.
They're not going to give you the choice because you have to tell them, no, we're not taking it. But that means you have to be willing to sacrifice a certain amount of money.
Well, you can't keep coming to the taxpayers.
It means you need to get wealthier people in here. You can't be a
That's my point.
Your biggest industry
Why-
cannot be poverty.
Why do
The
I have to
poverty
lower my
industrial
standard?
complex.
Why do I have to lower my standard to understand your plight? No.
Oh, you're sounding.
I come from Lynn. My father's from Lynn, dude. Don't shoulda.
Get your fans angry. Listen,
I'm just saying, stop bringing people in that don't have expendable income. Stop bringing nonprofits and churches into this community that don't pay taxes. Himna.
I like it. Let's bring people. So you want Lowell to gentrify?
Not only that, but when you sell a church,
That's a yes.
when you say a church and you sell that property, I want the city to get a take of that property. You live there for the free blessing of the troops, and you don't have any consequences for the money when it's sold. Give us the money.
Preach, sister.
Hey.
Preach.
Hey.
Preach. I think Lowell needs to be gentrified a little bit, and it will make housing more expensive. I know that.
But listen,
But it's already too
if you
expensive.
can't afford this town, you move to another one. Why do we have to take you and you can't afford it? We have to find a way to make you
Well, there are towns that I know where land is plentiful,
plentiful.
right?
You can be a farmer. You could do anything you want. Tax base is better
Why do people gravitate towards these?
because it's
areas?
urban. But let's put a church at 752 Andover Street. Rock on. Phew. Got a bone to pick with that one.
All right, let's get to some quick feedback.
Oh, excellent.
Bernard Aguiar texted on the YouTube. He sent us a message on YouTube.
On the YouTube.
From the show.
Is he on the crack, Teddy?
From the show the other day. I believe it was the show I had Bill Samaras on Wednesday.
Yes.
Bernard. Can I call you Bernie, Bernard? I don't know. It says, I love this channel. The Pins for Palestinians comment was brilliant. You caught that, didn't you, Bernard? Yeah, the Pins for
You'll have to explain that to me.
I was talking about how I'm not sure our teacher, because somebody was it Bill Samaras or Lee Gitcher was talking about, we need to get back to teaching math and whatever. And I think they're not teaching
Lee
math
Samaras.
and whatever. They're teaching about pins for Palestinians. So
What color is that?
You guys at Little High know what I'm talking about when I say that, right?
I thought the
Bernard,
sky was
did you get it or did you just find it funny? you know what I'm talking about, right? Amy St. Arnaud, speaking of the schools, Amy says, Teddy, why do you hate teachers so much? That was after my Bill Samaras podcast. I don't hate teachers, Amy. My mother was a teacher. My sister actually was a teacher for a short period of time before helping us run the family business to help her dad out. I don't hate teachers. I love teachers. Most teachers are fantastic people. Teachers unions, I'm not even gonna call them union. You guys call yourselves a teachers association, right? It's the MTA, Massachusetts Teachers Association.
Yeah.
There's a difference between a union and an association.
Yes.
A union represents people who get their hands dirty at work. I almost said who work, but not that teaching isn't work. They get their hands
They
dirty
get paper
at work.
cuts, too. My parents were both
An
educators.
association is for Major League Baseball Players Association, the MLB, the NBA, the National Basketball Association Players Association.
Yes.
The NHL, the NFL Players Association. Athletes have associations.
Yes.
Teachers have associations. That's one part of the problem. My biggest part
Tenure?
was it was actually perfectly stated by Superintendent Liam Skinner last week. By the way, now it's the most watched podcast in InsideLowell. Daily Pulse history.
He took over for the Esquire?
He buried Jo Marie Buckley.
Excuse me.
We were going back and forth about how $4+ million, which the city held back from the schools, and now they got what they always get, what they want. The city caves. What goes into caves?
Rats.
But if the school department and the school committee had negotiated the same contract, the same percentage increases with the Teachers Association as every other municipal union did, police, fire, DPW, whatever, the schools would have had more than the $4 million that they were crying about. And I was told by Superintendent Skinner, and I know he speaks for many teachers because I've heard this. So, well, teachers aren't the same as everybody else. They have to go get professional certification, which, by the way, every time they up their certification, they get more money, don't they? Yeah, they do. But it was almost like they're not like the police. They're not like the firefighters.
We can't strike.
They're more, and neither can the teachers.
Technically, yes.
Neither can the teachers, yet the threat of a strike.
Andover got in trouble.
We're told by the school committee and the superintendent that the threat of the strike got them to cave on and give the teachers more money than a higher percentage increase than everybody else got. I would dare them to strike. You want because when Newton and Wellesley, when their teachers strike, those are ritzy towns. The governor's not going to get involved. You strike in a community where 2/3 of your population is special needs, either English language learners or other special needs. You'll get the governor's attention. They'll break that illegal strike much, much more quickly. I would have dared them to strike. But regardless, this attitude that, teachers should get paid more. They should get higher percentage raises. Now, should they get paid more? They do than a parks worker and whatever. And they should. They have a higher level of education, a higher... I understand all that. But when you're doling out percentage increases on contracts, it should be the same across the board. If it's 9% for everybody else, 432, it's 9% for the teachers.
Okay.
Not 9 and 11. I don't hate teachers. I hate the politicking that the teachers do and how you guys love to use those kids as props, don't you? It's always for the kids. It's always my mother taught for 25 years in the United States and another, I think, 5 or 10 in Greece. And it was for the kids. I saw her paychecks. It was for the kids. You guys are doing it for the kids, always for the kids. Our kids will suffer. Our education will suffer. And if our kids suffer, our city will suffer, right? And by the way, look at everything we have to deal with since COVID and the mental health issues and the learning gaps and all that. Well, why weren't you in school during COVID? If you're different than the police and fire, you know how? The police were on the street during COVID, weren't they?
Yeah, they were out there.
Yeah. When the police got their heroes pay, their emergency pay for the COVID money, they did. And firefighters did. Now there was a battle over should retirees get this and blah, blah. But they got it. You know who else got it? The teachers.
No.
Why?
I don't know.
They weren't in school.
Interesting.
They freaking fought like you guys fought like hell to stay out of school. If the teachers' unions had stood up strongly and said, these kids, it's for the kids, right? It's always for the kids. These kids are so important that we're going to risk life and limb during COVID because, you know, lots of 8-year-olds were dying from COVID apparently, but you know they were walking into.
Had an 8 to 88.
You know, so when we asked the teachers to go back to school, you'd swear we were asking them to invade Normandy. It was like, we need masks, we need air purifiers, we need 27 feet apart in the classroom.
How are you going to cheat off the next guy if you're 10 feet apart?
By the way, this is me proving I don't hate teachers, right, Amy? But I'm still pissed off about COVID because you guys didn't do it for the kids during COVID. As a matter of fact, you turtled, and now you want to be rewarded because you have to deal with the problems that you helped cause. You screwed up a generation of kids.
Well, the MCAS is gone, so they don't have to take the test.
Yeah, well, because they don't want to see those test results.
The people voted.
They don't want to see those test results with what they did these last few years.
I voted against it.
I don't hate teachers, but the politics of the teachers, man, I can't stand it.
Well, powerful group.
Get back to teaching. I know every single one of you got into teaching because you want to make a difference and you love kids. And there are good teachers out there who do it every day, but damn it, not enough of you will stand up to your union bosses. And that pisses me off.
Well, they get paid.
And the rest of the city suffers for it. And no, you are not better than police or fire. And you're certainly not better than the water department employee digging holes or the parks guy cleaning up the trash from the park so that kids can play Little League sports. You're not better than them. Stop that. Liam Skinner, I was disappointed to hear that from Liam Skinner, but I was glad to hear him say it because I know that's the attitude the teachers have.
That's true. And he says it with a brogue.
He said it with a brogue, so how can you not like Liam Skinner?
Come on.
All right. Lastly, Chinlong Deep. I'm not touching it. Don't make me touch that.
Yeah.
That's how his name's pronounced.
I know.
I was mispronouncing it. I agree with Corey Belanger to begin the process of figuring out what the ICC is going to be utilized for when the lease ends. In addition, the same thing should happen with the existing Lowell High School Freshman Academy building, that red brick building on Page Street. I have not heard a lot of discussions on what's going to happen with it, but those discussions should begin far in advance prior to the summer of 2027 when the school will no longer need it. Let's hope by the summer of 2027. Yeah, let's find a way, let's use that building maybe to stop paying rent in another building.
That's a great idea. I know that the Freshman Academy building. That's a nice
they won't need it after 2027.
We called it the annex.
Or in 2030, whenever the high school project. By the way, if it was for the kids, why didn't you guys fight harder for a better high school? It's coming out.
Right. I got shoulders.
Namaste.
Namaste. Namaste. I must not stay. I must go.
Anyway, Bo, any final words?
No, we're doing good.
Yeah, we pissed off enough people?
I think so.
I've proven that I don't hate teachers, right?
No, my parents were educators.
Yeah, that's right. Your dad was a math
Professor Emeritus.
Yeah.
Emeritus.
Back when professors...
From the 50s all the way to the 90s.
Did they have an association?
Yeah, my father ran the veterans.
He ran, the veterans, not the teachers association.
No, he took care of all the Vietnam guys.
All right.
I'm sure he fought for teachers too, though. My father's a union guy.
Yes, he did. All right, you're back next Thursday.
I am.
Just not a Friday recap.
Not a Trigger Tuesday, Thursday.
We'll find. I won't drag you in 5 days a week yet. We'll slowly. We'll slowly rope you into that. But on Monday, I've got Greg Pappas and Marty Laurie.
That's going to be good.
Lots of good constitutional and court stuff, and I can't wait to get to. I'm going to turn.
See, I know Marty very well. But I didn't know Greg.
Oh, Greg's
He's
awesome.
fabulous.
Yeah, Greg owes his diplomas to my sister. At least his high school diploma. Pappas, Panagiotis. He did a little peeking over at the class valedictorian's paperwork, and he freely admits it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we'll have Pappas and Laurie on Monday, Bodor on Friday, on Thursday, the Pod Squad on Friday. I don't know what the hell I have the rest of the week, but I'll have something, I promise.
Yeah, we will knock it out. I'm just down the street.
All right. We'll get you about Karen Reed, all sorts of stuff with Leslie Bodor. It's the DeMoulas Market Basket saga. Who knows? Maybe we'll get some breaking news
right out of his
over the weekend. Lots of good stuff, and be on the lookout for those ICE agents in Lowell. Leslie, are you gonna go out and protest them?
I'd give them a hard look, but I wouldn't say a word.
Yeah. You'd start talking to them. Who are you kidding?
Me?
But nice, yeah. Then you'd be friends. You'd be inviting them for beers.
No.
Oh, of course you would.
No. Feds, no.
Really?
I don't want.
You don't like feds?
I don't want them here. No.
You don't like the FBI?
I like them.
Why?
I don't like
Why do you
these
like
guys.
the FBI and not the ICE guys?
I don't like these guys.
Do you like the ATF?
These guys,
DEA?
I don't like the motivation for what they're doing.
Oh,
I
it's
don't
political.
Like it. It's
don't like the
sending the wrong
political
message.
motivation,
I
huh?
just don't think it's the American way, Daddy.
Well, blame your president who brought them in here and let
Ooh,
everybody
wasn't that something?
They let everybody think it was a
The human
by the way,
chain?
Were you controlling the auto pen?
Oh, I would have blocked that border up big time and watched it. It was just a sieve. I couldn't believe my eyes. I have a big problem with that.
Forget the border is one thing. The fact that they were flying them into the airports and having them sleeping on the floor. These poor people.
They came in from Haiti.
These
That's
poor
correct.
people legitimately thought they were being welcomed to the United States of America.
They slept in the E lobby.
and they were and now they're screwed because their eligibility or whatever they're calling it is expiring in June or
How are they going to get back?
Well, you can get $1,000 if you hop on a flight.
That's true.
There's
Self-deport.
the ICE website has it every time. If you go to the ICE Facebook page,
When I go back to
what the ICE Facebook page has a link to how you can self-deport and get yourself your $1,000. But they also have a link to
donate
to workplace regulations.
Okay.
In other words, they're telling the business owners. You know,
Careful.
Don't hire these folks because we're gonna get them. I'd like to. One of these days, I want to see the business owner of that roofing company.
Yeah.
In cuffs, though, if you're gonna arrest the workers,
Yeah.
I'm uncomfortable with it, but I'll allow it. But please tell me, whoever owns that van, whoever owns that white van, they better be in cuffs too, and they better pay a hefty price and never be able to own a business again.
And I say, leave the guys alone.
All right. The business owner and the
Leave them
and
alone.
the-
They're not your fentanyl dealers that you promised to get. So no, leave them alone.
All right.
And stay out of Lowell.
So
Hoorah!
it's fertile ground apparently
Hoorah.
in Lowell. Or maybe there's just a lot of broken roofs in Lowell. Because I am told that one of the van on Bridge Street had New Hampshire plates. I was told by somebody.
Don't tell me that.
So is it a New Hampshire company or is it a Massachusetts company registering their van illegally in New Hampshire?
Oh, Lowell needs to scoop up every New Hampshire plate in the city.
There's a lot of New Hampshire and New York plates
They're
in the
not
city
paying
of Lowell.
Massachusetts.
Can we go
taxes
after
on
them?
that. Oh yeah, there
Can we
used to
go
be a
after
whole
them, too?
unit on the state police based out of Lawrence, picking up New Hampshire cars because they're registering in New Hampshire for no sales tax, and then they live in the projects, or they live in another state.
100%.
Yeah.
And by the way, if you're one of these poor homeowners whose roof is halfway done and they haven't come back to you
Why the long face?
for 4 days, I know a couple of good, legit roofers who will hopefully be able to come over and
right.
finish the job.
That's right.
Imagine being the poor guy who hired this roofing company because he was going to save
but
a
then
few bucks, and now it's like it's raining through my kitchen. When are these people coming?
It's raining men, Daddy. Undocumented working men.
Only you and I could laugh.
What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
Leslie Bodor, always good to see you,
pleasure.
kid. Congratulations on the honor for your dad.
My problem.
All right,
Thank you.
I'm going to go look for his flag, okay?
Yeah, he's out there.
All right, thanks to Leslie.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks to Melanie Gilbert as well from the Lowell Sun for stopping in. Nice, pleasant surprise. Most of all, thank you for tuning in. That wraps up our Friday edition of the Daily Pulse. It wraps up our week. We'll be back next week again, kicking off another week of fun, frivolity, and very likely some controversy as well. And by the way, I enjoy the hate mail. Please keep it coming, Amy and everybody else. Till then, I want everyone to have a great weekend. I hope you have an enjoyable weekend. Please stay safe. Watch out for those roofing trucks. And we will catch you on the other side.